Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that overnight, without a single phone call, without a signature, without even being in the room, you have become responsible for one of the most valuable private estates in the entire world. 1.2 billion pounds, 135,000 acres, tens of millions in annual income. All of it yours. That is exactly what happened to Prince William on September 8th, 2022. And the people closest to the royal family, people who had sacrificed enormously to be part of this institution, received nothing. Not a penny, not an acre, not a single line in the inheritance documents. Stay tuned, because what I am about to share with you is more stunning than the headline suggests. Here is what we will cover today. First, the full documented reality of what William actually inherited and why the number is more shocking than most people realize. Second, the structural truth about who is inside that inheritance and who is completely locked out of it, including people who sit at the same Christmas dinner table as the King of England. And finally, what royal experts are saying about the long-term implications of all of this and what it quietly means for Camilla's family. Let us start with the facts. And the facts alone are stunning. When Queen Elizabeth died, King Charles inherited the sovereign's formal assets and the Duchy of Lancaster. Most people know that part. But what happened in the same instant, the very same moment Charles became king, is what almost nobody talks about. Prince William automatically became the Duke of Cornwall. No ceremony, no announcement, no vote. Automatically, by constitutional law, the Duchy of Cornwall transferred to William the second his father became king. But here's where it gets interesting. The Duchy of Cornwall is not a title. It is not symbolic. It is a functioning, income-generating, land-owning economic empire. According to its own publicly available annual reports, the duchy is valued at over 1 billion pounds. Some estimates place the full figure closer to 1.2 billion. It encompasses approximately 135,000 acres across 23 counties in England and Wales. Farms, forests, residential properties, commercial real estate. In its most recently published annual report, the duchy recorded a net surplus of over 23 million pounds in a single year. That is not generational wealth in the abstract. That is a business. And William is now its duke. But that is not all. Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams has publicly noted that this is one of the most significant automatic transfers of private wealth in modern British history. It happened invisibly. No parliament debated it. No public conversation was had. One woman took her last breath in a Scottish castle, and a billion-pound estate changed hands before the world had even finished processing the news of her death. Now here's where the story becomes completely different from what most people expect. Camilla Parker Bowles married King Charles in 2005. She became Queen Consort in 2022. She is now Queen Camilla, her portrait hanging in palaces, her name written into British history. Her two children from her first marriage, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopez, are the stepchildren of the King of England. They attend royal events. They appear in official photographs. They are in every social and visible sense woven into the fabric of the modern royal family. And yet, they are not in the line of succession. They hold no royal titles. And when William inherited 1.2 billion pounds worth of land and estate, not a single acre of it had anything to do with them. The inheritance framework of the British monarchy is extraordinarily narrow. It runs through bloodlines. It runs through documented royal lineage. It does not bend for stepchildren, regardless of who their mother is or how close they sit to the throne. You won't believe what this looks like when you actually map it out. Scene: picture two families. Both of them gathered in the same rooms at Christmas. Both of them photographed at the same coronation. One family, the Wales children, George, Charlotte, Louis, standing in direct line to inherit an estate now worth over £1 billion, an estate that grows more valuable every single year. The other family, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopez, accomplished, respected, connected to the highest levels of British society, and yet operating in an entirely different financial universe. Same table, completely different worlds. Now, Laura Lopez is by all accounts a composed, private, dignified woman. She has navigated her extraordinary proximity to the monarchy with remarkable grace. There is no documented public statement from her expressing any reaction to William's inheritance. None. I want to be completely transparent about that. But here's the part they did not tell you. The structural reality of her position does not require a public statement to be worth examining. Camilla spent decades, literal decades, being one of the most criticized women in Britain. She endured public hostility on a scale very few people experience in their lifetimes. And her children were part of that journey. Tom and Laura showed up. They remained composed under scrutiny that would have broken most people. They supported their mother through everything. And now they sit adjacent to an institution that has just transferred the most valuable private estate in modern British history to the next generation, and structurally, none of it reaches them. But that is not all. Joe Little, the managing editor of Majesty magazine, has spoken publicly about the complexity of navigating the boundary between those who are formally inside the monarchy and those who are adjacent to it. The Parker Bowles family sits in one of the most unusual positions in that regard in the entire history of the modern monarchy. Close enough to observe the inheritance from the inside, formally outside it in every constitutional sense. Here is where it gets really interesting. Sources suggest, and this is clearly marked as analysis and speculation rather than documented reporting, that moments of major inheritance transfer historically create quiet tension in extended royal families. This is not a British phenomenon. It is a human one. When one branch of a family receives a transformational asset and another does not, the psychological weight of that gap is real. It does not require conflict. It does not require a screaming match or a leaked conversation. The gap itself carries its own weight. Imagine this. Laura Lopez, a woman who watched her mother become Queen of England after one of the most turbulent public journeys in modern history, sits in a room where the conversation turns, naturally, to William's plans for the duchy, his environmental initiatives, his long-term vision for the estate, his children's future, and somewhere in that conversation is the quiet, unspoken reality that the constitutional document governing all of that has her family's name nowhere in it. She says nothing. She smiles. She is gracious, because that is who she is by every public account. But the structural truth does not change because no one says it out loud. Now here is what makes this moment historically unique, and this part is genuinely shocking. The Duchy of Cornwall's value has grown dramatically over the past 2 decades. According to its own published records, the capital value of the estate has increased by hundreds of millions of pounds since the early 2000s. What William inherited is significantly more valuable in real terms than what any previous Prince of Wales received in modern history. The gap between what the direct heirs receive and what the extended family does not has never been wider, not in living memory, and it will only grow. William has already signaled that the duchy will become a platform for his conservation and sustainability work. The estate's farmland and natural assets make it ideal for that purpose. As that work gains public attention and the duchy's profile rises, the visibility of who controls it and who does not will rise with it. Royal experts have noted that the question of how the modern monarchy manages its extended family relationships will become increasingly pressing as the institution evolves. The Sussex situation showed, in stark and very public terms, what happens when someone who feels structurally excluded from royal life decides to speak about that experience openly. The Parker Bowles family has shown absolutely no signs of moving in that direction. They are private. They are composed. They have conducted themselves with consistent dignity. But here's the real question underneath all of this. Is peace the same as satisfaction? Is silence the same as acceptance? And is a system that can transfer £1.2 billion automatically, invisibly, constitutionally, to one branch of a family, while the people sitting at the same table receive nothing? Is that a system that makes sense in the 21st century? That is not a question about Laura Lopez specifically. It is not a question about William. Neither of them designed the system. Both of them are living inside it. It is a question about the monarchy itself, about whether an institution that prides itself on modernizing has actually examined the structures that create this kind of silent, structural inequality within its own extended family. Seen somewhere in a land registry, 135,000 acres of England and Wales now carry a new name. Prince William, Duke of Cornwall. The records are public. The numbers are documented. And the names that do not appear in those records tell their own quiet, stunning story. Sources suggest that as the Wales children grow older and begin to understand the full scope of what they stand to inherit, the conversations within the extended royal family about legacy, about fairness, about what the monarchy owes to those who have given so much to support it, those conversations will become harder to avoid. What do you think? Is the British royal inheritance system due for reform? Should the stepchildren of a sitting monarch have any formal recognition in estate transfers of this scale? Or is the existing constitutional framework exactly as it should be? I genuinely want to know where you stand. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If this analysis gave you something to think about, please give the video a like. It helps this channel reach more people who want honest, in-depth royal commentary rather than just surface-level headlines. Subscribe if you want more videos like this one. And share this with anyone who follows the royal family closely. This is a conversation worth having. Disclaimer: this video contains royal commentary and analysis based on public records and documented events. Some scenarios are clearly marked as dramatized for entertainment. This is not breaking news. Inheritance figures are drawn from publicly available Duchy of Cornwall annual reports. Speculation is clearly marked throughout. No quotes are attributed to real individuals without documented sourcing.